Okay, we are live. Alright, everybody, so we are continuing our Ditto solo run in Pokemon Leafgreen. Yesterday, we were live for 8 hours, and in that amount of time, 8 hours, 10 minutes in the game, we went from the start all the way to Lance, and we've had roughly 90 resets on Lance. So, I feel pretty confident we can beat Lance today. I would like to, though, because there's still a much harder fight than Lance. But I remember even in Scott's Discord, we were discussing between the two strats we were testing. The one strat we tested was where on Gyarados, we would just spam Bite and Twister and hope for some flinches. So that way I can get to the Aerodactyl at decent HP. So then I can roll for the Hyper Beam crit. And then if I get it, I'll have plenty of HP for the Dragonite. But the problem is the Gyarados does get opportunities to attack you. But then we had this other strat where you can Hyper Beam the Gyarados to get rid of it, and then you do the recharge, and then you defeat the Aerodactyl. It would let you get to the Aerodactyl at pretty much full HP consistently, but the problem with that strat is after the two Ancient Powers, you're not left with much HP left, and it could potentially allow Outrage to kill, and if not Outrage, then Hyper Beam. We found that out the hard way. So you would essentially have to hope for another crit on the Dragonite, and I honestly don't like that. I think I would rather just get to the Aerodactyl without having a recharge on it. Like, I'll have the recharge on the Dragonite, but having the recharge on the Aerodactyl is very bad. So I'm going to go back to the flinch strat. But yeah, let's get started. Alright, I'll restart the time as soon as I hit continue, and go. And Steve won't be with us because he is either working right now or doing something with his boss. Or, like, friends or family. I don't know what he's doing. But I think the best strat is just to use up all the bites first, because Bite does do more damage than Twister. Plus, it has the higher flinch chance, but when the Gyarados is about to use a full restore, I will switch to Dragon Rage. That's annoying. Can you imagine if the very first run that day... I mean, that was pretty low HP. Then again, we did not get... I don't think Bite flinched a single time. I think the only flinches was with Twister. Alright, so if it's in red health, it will always either full restore, or it will always be a one-shot with Bite. Okay, that was lucky. Alright, let's see how this goes. Oh. You know what's funny? If that Omni Boost didn't happen, I probably could have continued and just used another Hyper Beam. I remember we discussed this yesterday, and I think we all came to the conclusion that if I don't end up getting the crit on the Aerodactyl, and I get to it at full HP, I'll at least continue the fight out and just see what happens. Okay, yeah, that is way too low of HP. And also, I think every 5 attempts, I'll do a little loop around Lance, and then resave the game to potentially reset the RNG if I need to. Oh, nice. Activated the full restore a little early. Okay, yeah, that crit did help. Nice. Yeah, no. Hey, John. Alright, I do appreciate that the Gyarados is spamming Bite because that's one of its weaker moves. Okay, that was pretty good. Oh, okay. Alright, this is plenty of HP. And we are alright, it went for Safeguard. That's good. Okay, we've got a 40% chance of Twister, followed by Hyper Beam. I think that does not include the chances of a crit. Let's see how this goes. Could I survive another Outrage? Yes, I could. I think I'm gonna go for it again. Hyper Beam. That was kind of expected. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, that was quick. I thought I could end the stream without beating Lance, but I finally beat Lance. It was the fourth attempt today. Alright. Well, I may as well end this poll. I'll start a new one. That was pretty freaking quick. But yeah, since it locked itself into Outrage, I knew I'd have enough HP, but I was so close to dying. Till I beat the champion in 4 hours. Alright, let's take a look at the level. 800. Oh yeah, the Champion's Pidgeot gives like 1500 or something. So yeah, that's perfect. Leftovers. Okay. Alright, so here's the plan. Transform. Best case scenario would be if it used turn 1 Sand Attack, but I'm resetting there. So here's the plan. I'm going to transform into the Pidgeot, and then use Whirlwind 3 times. If the Gyarados gets sent out, it's an immediate loss. If the Rhydon... Dude, that's annoying. The Rhydon actually got a Rock 2 miss, but then Gyarados came out. But yeah, I have to use Whirlwind 3 times, and the final Pokemon has to be Exeggutor. And if Gyarados comes out, it's an instant loss. If Rhydon ends up coming out, then I just gotta hope for a miss of some sorts. Damn. The reason I need the final Pokemon to be Exeggutor is because Exeggutor is the best Pokemon for me to 2-shot and get to level 100. So I can get the level up boost. Yeah. Feather Dance is an automatic loss. But hey, at least we can do Lance now. The champion now. Honestly, in my testing, the speed drop early from the Rhydon ended up being a death sentence, but I think since I'm doing the run for real, if I get the speed drop, I'll continue. But Gyarados coming out is an automatic loss. Oh, that is annoying. Okay, I'm going to do something a little different. That was the second Whirlwind, so I'm going to have to use Whirlwind 1 extra time later. Okay, here's another annoying thing. The Aerial Ace is arranged to put the Exeggutor into a full restore, which means I'll have 1 less Aerial Ace. Which is annoying, because I want 2 for the Exeggutor, 1 for the Alakazam, then 2 for the Charizard. So that's going to be annoying, but I'll play the fight out and see if I can make it work. Oh, Scary Face miss. Nice. You know what? I can struggle the Alakazam. That's not a big deal. I'm going to use 1 Sand Attack. Ooh, Slash. Nice. Got your new headphones? Nice. Alright. The problem is, now I need Alakazam to come out. That was lucky. Actually, wait, no, I can't get Struggle on it, though. So I'm gonna need to use it again. I'll try it. I'll continue playing. I'll try this out. Actually, wait, no, this won't work. That's a death sentence, because I want to set up the Sand Attacks on Rhydon. I don't want to set it up on Gyarados. Attempt, though, went surprisingly far. Yeah, honestly, I think Lance took me around like 95 tries to beat. Okay. Exeggutor. Damn. That's annoying. Yep, that didn't work. Okay. Alright, Exeggutor. Damn. The reason Exeggutor has to be the third one is because I need to save the other two Whirlwinds for when the Rhydon comes out. I want to Whirlwind into the Charizard, then into the Alakazam, and use up my remaining Aerial Aces. Because Aerial Ace will one-shot the Alakazam and two-shot the Charizard. That way on the Rhydon, I can just start setting up Struggle. So that's why I'm using it 3 times. Dang it, dude. Hey Smash, do you think you can go in Scott's server in the Ditto channel? Let people know, like, I'm on the champion fight right now? Already did? Nice. Yeah, that Pidgeot's annoying. I would prefer, best case scenario, to use turn 1 Sand Attack. Man, if that Charizard was the Exeggutor, that would have been a pretty awkward fight, because I'd be at such low HP, Egg Bomb could kill me. Egg Bomb from that thing does 48 to 57 damage. Yeah, Red, I beat Lance within 5 tries today. I actually got everything I wanted, and the winning strat ended up being the flinch strat, which was my original strat. I did use 2 twisters on the Dragonite for safety because it locked itself into Outrage. Oh my god, you stupid bird. But hey, this is the true worst fight, so I want it here. Okay, that was a little early. Well, Oop, I did not mean to use that Sand Attack. Oh, dang it. Hold on. Alright, I gotta stall with some Feather Dances. Alright, you know what? I'm asleep. That's fine. Alright, Reflect's gone. It was gonna be a 2-shot anyway. Whirlwind. Okay, I'm gonna use 1 Sand Attack for safety. That is very low. That was, well, damn it. That was sketchy anyway. If Exeggutor ends up coming out after the 2nd Whirlwind and not the 3rd, having 1 to spare is kind of sketchy. Okay. That's annoying. Well, it was right on anyway, so that wouldn't have worked out. I don't think I've had Executor come out on the third Whirlwind yet so far. I've tried to make it work after the second, but it ends up just making things really sketchy. Yeah, since the good thing is, since Feather Dance only lowers the opponent's attack by 2 stages, I can technically only use 3 on the Rhydon, so the other 2 I can save for Executor if I have to stall out Reflect. Alright, I think Aerial Ace... Okay, I was gonna say, I think Aerial Ace turn 1's usually a good sign, but... I don't think the rival's ever gonna use Sand Attack turn 2. It could only ever use it turn 1. Dang it. I'll make it work. This is a weird fight. Yeah, no, that's not gonna work. Yeah, Stardust, you missed Lance. I got past Lance within 6 tries today. My very first Aerodactyl crit today was the one that won. Yeah, the winning strat ended up being the flinch strat that I was originally doing. That was too much health. Nope. Reset the luck. Dude, I didn't know he could use Sand Attack and Feather Dance. Usually it was Sand Attack Aerial Ace. Hey, hey, JD. You missed Lance. Come on, Executor. Dude, I have not once gotten Executor third today. I mean, I've had a successful chain of 3 where Gyarados hasn't shown up, but I need Executor to be third. Let me try the Gen 1 frame. How tragic was Lance? I think he took a grand total of like 95 resets. Most of them were in the last stream. But Lance needs Lance needed an Aerodactyl crit. But yeah. Stardust. Executor has to be third. And during this whirlwind chain, I cannot see Gyarados at all. If I see Rhydon, then I'd have to hope for a miss. And if I get hit, I'll continue and just see how things work out. But seeing Gyarados get sent out during the chain is an automatic no-no. Need a lot of luck. Yeah, a lot of luck. Honestly, so far, most of my resets have been Pidgeot using Feather Dance. I want it to either Sand Attack Aerial Ace or Aerial Ace Aerial Ace. If you mentioned you cleared Lance 6 tries or so, was Lance cleared within 100? Someone would have to look at yesterday's stream and tell me how many resets I had when I got to Lance for the first time. And earlier in this stream, how many resets I was at when I won. That should be the number of resets I had. Yeah, that's the problem. It is, I will still play the fight if it comes out second, but the problem is I have to waste another Whirlwind somewhere. And I'd have to figure out where. Oh, God. Like, the thing is, I could use a 4th Whirlwind right here to get rid of Charizard and hope for Exeggutor, but then the problem is, once the Rhydon comes back out, I'll have to defeat either Charizard or Alakazam with Struggle. And I would prefer to use my Aerial Aces on them and not waste them on Rhydon. I think it was 95 last night. Okay, so honestly, Lance might have been close to 100 resets. Alright. Alright, at least that's not full restore range. Yeah, and if you... Also, I actually did look at the math. What's better, using one Sand Attack on Rhydon, then using Whirlwind? Or just straight up using Whirlwind? It's actually... Let's assume, like, the Rhydon uses either Rock Tomb or Scary Face. Let's assume it's a 50-50 chance. So let's average out their accuracies. So 15% miss chance. The 20 from Rock Tomb and the 10 from Scary Face. Let's assume 15. The chances of using one Sand Attack to get two 15% misses is actually less than 15%. You're actually better off using turn 1 Whirlwind. I think you should have gone the extra Whirlwind. The problem is, though, with the extra Whirlwind is I'll have to use Struggle on Alakazam or Charizard instead of Aerial Ace. And they're a lot harder to take out with Struggle. Because if I can get the Whirlwind chain just right, and then I knock out the Exeggutor to get to 100, and then I Whirlwind out of the Rhydon to the Charizard and the Alakazam, then, then the only things I have to kill with Struggle are Rhydon, Pidgeot, then Gyarados. It was 98 total. Under 100. My god, dude, that thing having Feather Dance just irritates me. Oh my god, dude. Playing through a Ditto is a struggle, but seriously, Ditto is near impossible. It's near impossible, yes, but it is still possible. You just need a particular set of events. And I've actually gotten a set of events that I think is human luck reasonable. By that, I mean probably equivalent or just slightly better than shiny odds. But we'll take a look when we get there. But so far, most of my resets are on the Pidgeot with Feather Dance. I just have to hope it just uses turn 2 Aerial Ace. Like that. Dude. Why does it have Feather Dance? I don't know why the Champion's Pidgeot's moveset is so bad. Oh, finally. First time today. Okay, I'm going to use 2 Feather Dance because I'm going to need to stall out the Reflect. Okay, Light Screen is useless. Okay, the Sleep is a little annoying, but at least this will stall out the, at least it stalls out the that's in heal range. Oh, surprisingly not. Okay. Yeah, if it had Steel Wing, oh boy. Like, Steel Wing instead of Feather Dance. Actually, that I don't know how better that would be. Alright, so I remember doing the testing, like, I mentioned this earlier, like, what's better, Sand Attack then Whirlwind or straight up Whirlwind? It's at most, like, 3% better. It's, like, hardly any difference. So I'm just going for straight up Whirlwind. I do not want to fight Pidgeot, but I'll just, yeah, this is not happening. You should attack once into Reflect to avoid the healing. Good point. I'll remember that. Because the problem is with the Sand Attack, like, I think Sand Attack on Rock Tomb, I can just bring up a calculator. Alright, so Rock Tomb is 80% accurate. And one Sand Attack, I believe, is 0.75 reduction. So that would put Rock Tomb at a 60% chance. Let's assume it's Rock Tomb. That puts it at a 60% chance. But then you have to hope for another one. But let's assume it's Scary Face. That's 0.67. So going for one Sand Attack effectively makes his moves, let's just average it out, 63%. Like, you would essentially have to get the Mist turn 1 anyway, then get the Whirlwind. But the one problem with that is, from my testing, if you are able to get that to work, you're only going to have 2 Sand Attacks left while struggling down the Rhydon. I mean, you will have Feather Dance, for sure. Oh, let me average out the 2 percentages really quick. So if we do 0.6 times 0.67. No, that's not right. Let's assume it's 0.63. So let's times 63% times another 63%. No, Rock Tomb is 80% accurate, isn't it? Probably shouldn't sand attack the Charizard. I did that to make Charizard slightly safer because it has Fire Blast, which does so much damage. I have no special defense EVs. Honestly, right here, I have a 63% followed by another 63% as a 39%. Rock Tomb is 10% chance. Wait, no, Rock Tomb is... No, don't you mean 80? Yeah, 80 for Rock Tomb. Yeah, that was the math I did. Yeah, that was. Honestly, I think using the Sand Attack then Whirlwind might actually be safer than just straight up hope for Whirlwind to work. Charizard's safe for that Sand Attack? I don't know, because Charizard is 85% accurate with Fire Blast. If we timed it by the Sand Attack, that's 63%. Yeah, it was buffed to 90 in Gen 6. Thank God this isn't Gen 6. Okay, let's actually continue the run. Damn. Honestly, I think Sand Attacking into Whirlwind for Rhydon might actually be safer. You need a miss, though, which is a 36% chance. 13%. True. But that's assuming both times, right? That's assuming I use the Sand Attack, then Whirlwind, both times. So if it's a 13% chance for both of those to work one time, that's better than two separate, like, 10 to 20% odds. Besides, while I'm doing the Whirlwind swapping, should I do this? Yeah, I can always see what I can make work. No. I'm imagining Rock Tomb is Scary Face, but I don't think it'll change the conclusion. So, what do you think is better? Because there are two separate chances I have to Whirlwind the Rhydon out after killing something. What do you think is better? Straight up using Whirlwind or using one Sand Attack first? What do you think is better? Unless there are Blaze considerations, it's not good to Sand Attack the Charizard. It's probably a similar thing to Sand Attacking Rhydon. And if I can get it to work, it will save 5 Sand Attacks for the Rhydon when I need to set up Struggle. You know, I probably should have used 2 Feather Dances on it to heal some HP back. Ow. Nope, that was... Charizard would have killed me. Sand Attack on Charizard is 13%. 0 hits versus 15% without Sand Attack. So using a Sand Attack actually makes it your odds worse. Yeah, I think during the 3 Whirlwind chain, if I see Exeggutor, I'll need to figure out another place to use up the Whirlwinds. Because I have to use up the Whirlwinds before I can get Struggle. Best case right now is to Whirlwind Exeggutor in, kill it, and then Whirlwind the Alakazam with no speed drop preferably. Yeah, but it is going to be straight up impossible to not have a speed drop. Because even while doing the Struggle, even while grinding down to get Struggle on the Rhydon, I'm bound to get hit with a Rock Tomb or Scary Face, even at -5 accuracy. Oops. Yeah, you underspeed the Alakazam at 99. Yeah, you gotta be level 100 for it. Plus, at level 99 with Pidgeot stats, you have to two-shot it. I would prefer not... I would prefer to get level 100 off the Exeggutor. That's a little annoying. Dude. Yeah, the hardest team for this thing definitely would be the Venusaur team, for sure. Because that team has 2 Intimidate users on it. But funnily enough, his Venusaur is pretty incompetent. It wouldn't be able to do anything. Honestly, who knows? I think the Venusaur's only attacking move is Solar Beam. I think its other moves are like Sleep Powder, Growth, and Sunny Day. Also, the thing is, I theoretically could continue with a Feather Dance, but the problem is, I would need mandatory crits for that. I'd rather not just deal with that. Let's get a new frame. Let's try the regular frame, the boring one. The plan is to beat Gyarados with Struggle. We want to save Gyarados for last. Alakazam with Struggle, yes. At level 100, it's a two-shot. It is possible, yes. It would do a lot, though, but it is possible. Oops. That's annoying. You know what, though? At least that was a critical hit. But having one less Aerial Ace is annoying, so I'm going to have to see how this works out. Alright, so I only have 2 left, so I'm going to have to use these Aerial Aces on Charizard. But I'll see how this works out. Oh well. I know it's super late into the game, but if we are considering a guaranteed speed drop, perhaps Speedvees can go into other places. No, absolutely not. The EVs are perfect the way they are. Oh, extreme speed, true. The problem is, I'm gonna have a lot... I already did have to sacrifice HP. Besides, 200 was like the minimum attack stat with Adamant that I ended up finding good for the ranges. Like, if I lower my attack, Alakazam will not go down to a guaranteed Aerial Ace at 100. Okay. Is that gonna full restore? I think it will. Yeah. Alright, so I am gonna have to... If this attempt ends up... That's annoying. No, that's dumb. Lepa Berry actually does not work with Ditto. It only recovers Transforms PP. Like, Ditto is hard-coded to only have 5 of everything. Here, I can prove it. Watch. I'm going to use an Elixir on Ditto. See? That only heals Transform. Did way more damage than barely Oko. That was with a Reflect up, too, by the way. Besides, no amount of speed EVs can prepare me for a scary face. No, I remembered Stab. Red Riosity, the reason that Alakazam didn't die was because of Reflect. Without Reflect, it's a guaranteed one-shot. I think at the minimum, it does like 130% damage. That's with Ditto's own stats, though. What I mean is Alakazam can't be the range attack EVs is for. It's for everything else. Like the Lance fight. Like, remember how yesterday I mentioned the crit on the Aerodactyl with Hyper Beam is a 15-16 range? Actually, wait, no, I wasn't using Ditto stats for that fight. Okay. You know, I'm going to try something. I'm going to use 2 Feather Dances here. I'm going to see how much of my HP I can heal back. Okay, not that much. Okay, it was worth a test. No, we don't have too much attack. Alright, I'm going to try 1 Feather Dance on Exeggutor. Charizard at level 100 with Ditto stats is a guaranteed 2-shot after the Citrus Berry. Pidgeot is already not a guaranteed 3-hit with Struggle. Struggle does 35.1 to 41.6. So there is a theoretical chance it cannot 3-shot. Yeah, if I have less attack, then after the Citrus Berry, the Charizard could still live. No, I am not dealing with a burn. Nice, got the miss. God. Okay, that just pissed me off. Well, I'll go for it. Alright, this is probably going to put it into full restore range. Yep. Okay. Let's start the struggle spamming and just see how this works. Alright, I'm going to use 2 Sand Attacks, then 2 Feather Dances. Use all 3. This probably isn't going to work out that well, but let's give it a try. There is an opinion to reduce attack and rely on a crit or high roll damage status. Hey, speaking of crit. Yeah, I think with this Feather Dance up, I gotta hope for more crits. Also, during full restore turns, I net gain 7 HP. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to work. I would have needed a lot of crits to make that work. Psychic? I didn't write down psychic ranges, so sure. I don't know if you were going to look at Ditto stats, or... I guess Ditto stats would be more useful. Dude, I fucking hate Feather Dance. I think I would do this with low attack and pray for a crit Charizard to avoid the citrus range, but not certain it's better. Yeah, I mean, if the situation comes up, I'll at least go for it. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to take that out. Yeah, I would have needed a crit. At least I'm coming up with alternate strats. Alright. I don't mind wasting the 2 Feather Dances there because it's less turns on the Rhydon. Aerial Ace here is a guaranteed 2-shot on Pidgeot. And the Pidgeot's honestly extremely annoying to face, so yeah. Well, that's annoying. Yeah, it's so good on the rival team, exactly. And the sad thing is, a critical hit max roll struggle does not one-shot Pidgeot. If it did, I would just transform on who's second, which could make the fight a lot better. I do think it's better to struggle against Exeggutor than Pidgeot. Yeah, but my normal strat is I struggle against the Rhydon. Oh, you mean like struggle strats. So what you're saying is if I have 3 aerial aces left, I'm saving 1 for the Alakazam, but then I could use 2 for the Pidgeot. If I use 2 for the Pidgeot, that means I'd have to struggle the Charizard. Which I'm not sure that's a good idea. Like, I don't know what's better. Going for struggle strats on Charizard, or using Aerial Ace on Charizard instead. I was thinking Aerial Ace, Pidgeot, Charizard, Alakazam. The problem is, who am I getting level 100 on? Sounds like I have to get it on the Pidgeot. Yeah, that's the problem. Who do I get it on? Actually, I think the best one to get level 100 on might just be Alakazam. No, what I meant is, like, if I'm using Struggle on Exeggutor, then what am I getting level 100 on? Because right now, Exeggutor is the way I get to level 100. Yeah, that's something you can do. You know what's funny, though? Gyarados' moves aren't too threatening. It's just what makes it threatening is Intimidate. Man, why can't Ditto's ability be Clear Body? That'd be so good. Oh yeah, the ranges are very bad with if we're not a level 100 Dittos. Alright, so I only have 2 Aerial Aces left. It was healing us? Not really. Because Giga Drain was doing more damage than Leftovers can heal. I mean, I'm using the 2 Feather Dances on Exeggutor anyway. What the? My god, this can... This controller really drains my batteries. I'll be back. I'll be right back. I'll read the strat messages when I get back. Egg Bomb is also 5 PP, but just Giga Dream would get PP stalled. It only does a net loss of 3 to 7 HP per turn. So what I'm hearing is it would be better to get Struggle on Executor than Rhydon. Man, these batteries are so bad. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to plug in the controller the old-fashioned way. Alright, I'm just gonna have to plug it in for now. Just buy more controllers, or buy more batteries later. Alright, let's see. If we leave Executor for after Rhydon, it would heal us. Rhydon, preferably you'd like a minimum of 1 Feather Dance. Yeah, if Rhydon's still alive, whenever I KO something, it will come back out. That's the problem. If we could have 2 Sand Attacks, 1 Feather Dance, would it be enough? That would be super bad. Because you have to struggle on the Rhydon for so many turns. Okay, so what was I doing? I think this thing got whirlwinded out. Aerial Ace does over 20%. Interesting. I'm not sure what to do with that, though. Like, what I'm thinking, based on what you just said, would be like, get level 100 off the Executor, and then on the Rhydon, don't even worry about whirlwinding it out again. Just immediately set up Sand Attacks and 5-shot it with Aerial Ace? Isn't even possible. Yeah, that's not going to work. 2 hit the Executor, hope for a crit on Rhydon. Crit Aerial Ace? That's not going to work. Yeah. Preferably, I want to save the Aerial Aces for 2 for Executor, 1 for Alakazam, then 2 for Charizard. I will say, though, the number one thing about this that's irritating is just Pidgeot using Feather Dance. Wow. That thing just crit me twice. Kind of curious about this strat. Really wondered how the switch AI works with the champion. It does seem like he's randomly swapping into Rhydon with no set intervals. It's because I'm a Pidgeot, that's why. One thing that's interesting is the feather dances doesn't seem to matter for Executor. We haven't really came up with new strategies. We've come up with alternate strategies. Using 2 useless feather dances against a -5, -6 Rhydon will give more health and debuffing Executor. You're probably right on that. That was a waste of a crit. Dude, you know what sucks about this? That was actually perfect whirlwinding. Very close to it. And I wish this Pidgeot had double team. Oh, must have detected a miss. I don't think that's enough aerial aces. No. Fuck. I was curious how that would have worked. You know what? This is a curious question. If I get hit with Feather Dance and the Pidgeot comes back out, would it see I have too many stat modifiers and attempt to use Whirlwind on me? Question, do you think with better luck, would Blastoise Arcanine be better? The problem is, though, Arcanine has perfect accuracy moves. That's the problem. It only checks for positive stat changes. I mean, I do remember there have... Actually, no. I remember times in Emerald version, I've been hit with Intimidate, and Mighty Yenna would roar me out. I know it's happened with Swagger, too, which makes sense, but I've had it happen with that other thing once. Alright, we're at reset number 300. Dude, most of these is the Feather Dance. Okay. Nice. Oh, nice. I hate this game. We're punished for using Sand Attack. True. Honestly, it might actually be more worth it to use the Sand Attacks. The thing is, though, he only goes for Slash if he detects a Fire Blast miss. I mean, the resets were definitely quicker, for sure. Nice. I think going no Sand Attack, having the crit upside is so good. Wait, I think going no Sand Attack, having the crit upside. Oh, okay, I get what you mean. Okay. Oh my god. Holy shit. Okay, that was pretty dang close to perfect. The only thing that... Well, actually, no. The Exeggutor came out second, so I still have one extra Whirlwind. Should I Whirlwind again? Or should I just use my 2 aerial aces? I'm worried I might get hit with Feather Dance. What do I do now? Abel. What should I do? Because I think it's either going to go for Feather Dance or Aerial Ace. Gamble on the Charizard. You think I should Whirlwind? Honestly, if I'm going to get Sand attacked either way... Whirlwind? Yeah, let's go. You know what? This is an interesting target to set up on, because its moves aren't completely the best. Let's try it. I think Struggle's a 3-shot on the Charizard. Yeah, let's give this a try. This is a weird fight. No, it's fine. Use up your full restores. Oh, yeah, that's doing a lot. I mean, on the bright side, it quit going for Rock Tomb. But I don't think that matters, though. Yeah. If that had Whirlwinded into the Rhydon instead of the Gyarados, that would have been better. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to use a Feather Dance to stall. Okay, the problem is the Reflect is still up. So I am going to have to waste 1 Sand attack. What's better? Wasting a Feather... Yeah, wasting a Sand attack is better than wasting a Feather Dance. There we go. Okay. This is... Well, let's try this. Well, no, this... Nice. I don't even know how much a crit struggle does on Rhydon. Scary Face is better means no more Rock Tomb. That is true. Honestly, I think I'm going to Whirlwind now and see if I can get Alakazam. Well then. Okay, that was actually kind of perfect. I mean, at least I got some chip damage in on the others. Yeah, okay, at least the Alakazam got some chip damage on. And so did the Pidgeot. Oh, that crit actually did a lot. Okay. Alright, he saved it for Pidgeot. Eh, okay, I guess. Ouch. Actually, no, it would have been better to use that on the Rhydon. Future Sight. Yeah, the crit Rhydon was actually bad, yeah. I would prefer the crit on the Pidgeot, not the Rhydon. But, that was an interesting strat. Doing chip damage, like if I get hit with feather, like... Honestly, chip damage on the other things was actually an interesting strat. I still have to reset, though, if I get hit with Feather Dance. Actually, should I reset if I get hit with Feather Dances? Okay, that... On the first turn, I think... Yeah, I think turn 1 I should reset. Seriously? Okay, I gotta Whirlwind this again. Interesting. Ouch. Important to KO the Exeggutor and the Charizard. True. Yeah, I don't think struggling this with Pidgeot stats is a good idea. You know, it's interesting. Less recoil damage means I'm healing more. But I'm going to try it out, though. I feel like with this kind of run, you should just try out any strat. The important thing is the sand attacks have to be saved for the Rhydon. Wow, -6. I mean, a full restore was used on the Rhydon. Will a full restore be used here? No. Okay. Yeah, true. The Alakazam is not good with struggle. That is true. Fuck you, dude. And, an experiment getting level 100 on the Alakazam. Oh. It was a good thing I swapped a Sand Attack there. Okay. That was the third Whirlwind. Nice. How many aerial aces does this leave? 2 of them. Okay. One more. That's not good. That's not a good one. Let's see if I can get a crit. Yeah, that's not gonna work. And if only I was allowed to use guard spec. And does that Rhydon have literally nothing else better to use than Scary Face? That was pretty funny. Alright, let's try out this strat. I should just reset if I get hit with Feather Dance, period. Because I've tried to make it work, it just will not work. Yeah, I think if Alakazam is the third one in that set of Whirlwinds, I'll need to use Sand Attack, then Aerial Ace. Would I rather use the 2 Aerial Aces on Pidgeot or Charizard? I would rather use them on Charizard, but I don't want a Whirlwind. Uh... Whirlwinding here could be risky. Whirlwind. Okay, that was a good risk. Alright, now I'm out of Whirlwinds, and I have some Feather Dances to spare, so I will have to struggle the Charizard, sadly. Alright, I just gotta deal with 3 Sand Attacks. Dude, quit hitting me. Wow, Struggle's doing quite a lot here. Okay, I'm actually fine with you using your full restores on the Rhydon. It means he doesn't use them for other things. It's a shame, though. Like, I think he has a cap of 2 per Pokemon, because he won't use all 4 of them on the same Pokemon. It's really annoying. Alright, that was the 3rd one. Ouch. Or no, Ditto is possible, yeah. Yeah, I figured that. I figured there has to be some sort of cap. I don't think that was my best attempt because the Charizard was still alive. He has 4 full restores. But yeah, the scenario I have in my notes is one where those 3 are defeated. Well, here's the other thing from my testing. If I have the Exeggutor, Alakazam, and Charizard knocked out by the time I'm setting up Struggle, then he will save Gyarados for last. So even if you have leftover Whirlwinds after beating the 3, it's okay if Gyarados gets Whirlwinded in. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Okay, that was perfect. That is a crap load of minus attacks, though. Platinum doesn't have a level up glitch for Ditto. Yeah, it's Gen 3 only. Where's Axie been? Who knows? Dude. Accidentally pressed the R button. Do crits still use Ditto stats? I don't think they do, no. Why am I always getting Sand Attack and Feather Dance? Man. If I was only allowed to use one item, it would 100% be the guard spec. Okay. Maybe potions. That could be an alternative, yeah. Take down Earthquake, Rock Tomb, Scary Face. Dude. Alright. That is not going to be enough. Mm. No, guard specs are a good item. Not when Giovanni uses them because he's stupid, but preventing the opponent from using stat lowering moves is really good. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that Ditto with struggle here is impossible. Hmm. Uh. Might be an ether after KOing with struggle. Yeah, that would probably be the best. Yeah, it kind of sucks. This is the best strat I could come up with. If there was a way after transform to get some of the PP back, I definitely would. That's funny. If you could fish in the gym statues, I could get struggle in here. Yeah. Yeah, I could go for PP up, yeah, but I remember experimenting with struggle, and it just ended up not doing good. Dude, I'm just upset that a critical hit struggle cannot one-shot Pidgeot. If it could, I would just transform on the second Pokemon. But it just doesn't. What other items do I have? I'm curious. True. I could theoretically, like, give up here and use items. And this is still further than, like, anyone else has made it. But I think even Tion at least made it to the champion. I mean, I don't know. I did brute force Lance, but I did say he was nowhere in comparison to this. Yeah, resets you have the patience for, exactly. He used, I think it was both save states and items. Yeah, I really did try to make this, like, somewhat feasible, but it just, there really isn't anything to do. Holy stupid thing. There's just really nothing to do here. I can show off what the fight looks like with save states, though. I can show it off. What my strat was. You know what? Let's do that. I'm gonna show it off. I'll show off exactly what I had in the notes. Because clearly, no alternative method will actually work. So, here, I'll show it off. Alright, so here's what my plan was. Was transform. Did I mess up your timer? Nah. Yeah, see, Feather Dance won't work. So, transform. Or I'll just show off what the strat is. Yeah, that's a reset. Hey, at least I beat Lance, RTA. Like, that's not even Scott. I mean, Scott didn't even beat Lorelei. But I do want to show off what my strat was, and maybe the odds can be calculated from there. I say put Ditto on your leaderboard anyway. If I do, I would have to put it up as DNF. I would have to put down the exact time I quit. But, Okay, so I have the save state going. That's good. Does deserve a spot. True. No, that's the third one. So this would have to be the third one, right? I would prefer to have no speed drops until I do the struggle spam. And then the final Pokemon needs to be Exeggutor. Yeah, at least I can beat the Elite Four. I didn't say anything about the champion. Yeah, Ditto can beat the Elite Four. I mean, if there was, like, items from an alternative game that I could get, because Fire and Leaf Green doesn't have every held item, theoretically, the, what's it called? Actually, White Herb would be really good. But I could use that to get rid of one speed drop. But then at cost of losing leftovers. Alright, so yeah, this is what I want. Exeggutor out now. Then... How did it... Oh, right, the Reflect is up. Alright, Reflect's gone. Alright, so then I would defeat the Exeggutor from there. And then at this point would be the Rhydon. So I think the odds are very similar between Sand Attack, Whirlwind versus just Whirlwind. Here to go for this. Yeah, at least I tried it. I did seriously try to route. I was routing the champion for days. Alright, so here's what I would have to do here. I still have to use 2 more Whirlwinds, so I would need another miss. Not into the Pidgeot. Oh, dang it. Okay, that works. One shot. Then it's back here. This time, I need Charizard. Nope. Right here. Hope for no crit or burn. Yeah, this is the exact sequence I need before I can use Struggle. Lax Incense could potentially work. Bright Powder is actually better than Lax Incense, but the problem is Bright Powder is not in the game. Yeah, this is the exact thing I need to happen. So now, I am going to use... Sand Attack, Feather Dance. It's pretty much impossible to even avoid the possibility of speed drops, so I'm not gonna reset. I'm not gonna have to expect like every single one to miss. That's just too much to ask for, so I'm gonna assume speed drops. Lax Incense in Gen 3 is only 5% accuracy reduction, while Bright Powder is 10%. Lax Incense didn't become 10% until Gen 4. Alright, I think that's all the PP. Yeah, that's all the PP. So now from here, I would have to slowly knock out the Rhydon. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I'm just showing off what my best strategy was that I planned out. I know Scott experimented with different strats, but I think this is the highest odds chance here. Okay. Razorfang isn't in this game. Sadly, neither is the King's Rock. You have to get it from another game. So then on the Pidgeot here. Okay, that Feather Dance is annoying, but I don't think there's any way to avoid that. The main problem here with the Pidgeot is it's always going to hit you. Alright, so then I would end up at Gyarados last. It's just post-game? Ah, okay. Gyarados right here. Struggle does 19.5 to 23.4 after Intimidate, but I have -3 attack. So basically, a crit would do 59.5 to 70.2. Thrash does 16.5 to 19.4. Hydro Pump does 19.8 to 23.5%. So then at this point, if assuming I can survive 2 moves, probably 3 if I underspeed it, which I will, I would need one of the moves to crit. Let's see how long this takes. Yeah, I literally would have gone through all of that work. Yeah, I would have to... Yeah, you can't even use elixirs here either. Choice Band? Choice Band is not in this game. Honestly, the Gyarados looks like the worst thing here. Because even if I didn't get hit with Feather Dance, it's still bad. See? That's what I needed. That's what I needed right there. A crit on the Gyarados was absolutely required, so I would have had to do all of that just to hope for a crit on Gyarados. Yeah, that was my final plan that I came up with. But yeah, I think this might be Ditto's time I put on the leaderboard, and I'll put an asterisk next to it. But yeah, if somebody wants to calculate the odds on that fight, does it count? I'm going to put Ditto on the leaderboard anyway, but I'll put an asterisk next to it. Whenever I put an asterisk next to a run, it means it's illegitimate. But actually, wait. I should probably put down the time I beat Lance, because I beat up to Lance legitimately. Does anyone want to go back to the start of this stream and tell me what the time was when I beat Lance? Maybe I could, like, have that in a separate column or something. Honestly, I think so, yeah. I think I'll have the time I was when I think I'll have the time when I beat Lance and put that on the leaderboard with an asterisk next to it. That was basically as far as I made it. If I had continued to grind this, it probably would have been like 50 hours. Yeah, I think, at least I showed off what the strat was. 8, 15, 21. Yeah, that's what I'm going to put on the leaderboard. What was my reset and blackouts? Okay, I am literally seeing 2 different times here. Just when I beat Lance, what was my time, game time, resets, and blackouts? Wobbuffet? I've already played through Wobbuffet and Shedinja and Smeargle in this game. Those are definitely possible. Round 2, probably not. My time's entering the champ. No, not entering the champ when I beat Lance. There is no way No, Dominic, I meant, like, when I beat Lance, what were my metrics? Like, real-time, game time, resets, and blackouts. I mean, I know the level. Level was 99. I'll put this on the leaderboard. 154? Okay. Alright, Ditto was level 99. Magikarp's possible with enough patience. Like that. Alright, so is 8, 14, 11 my Lance time? If so, I'll put that in the leaderboard. But I kind of need to know everything else. 154 resets. Okay, 154 resets. I'll add a plus next to that. What was my game time? Does anyone know what was my game time when I beat Lance? But yeah, this is definitely not impossible for sure, but this would probably need another, like, probably 5,000 resets. But yeah, Smash Math. If you do want to calculate the odds of that exact fight I did with the save states, go ahead. I'm actually really curious what the odds are on that. John, I swear to God, I'm gonna hurt you, dude. You keep giving me different times than Smash. There you go, that's better. 2511, thank you. I'll put a plus on that as well. But yeah, I think that was the most possible strat I could have done. I seriously tried, though. John be trolling. He usually does. Dude. A good attempt, nevertheless. True, yeah. Alright, I'm gonna show y'all the leaderboard here. This is what I put in. But yeah, I think that was legitimately the best solution I could think of. It's a possible strat, for sure. But here's what I put. Level 99, 154 plus, 8, 14, 12 asterisk, 25, 11 plus. This was as far as I made it legitimately, which was literally beating Lance. Hey, I'm proud of myself for that, though. I beat Lance. Like, Lance needed a guaranteed Hyper Beam crit, and for Dragonite to cooperate, and that's exactly what I got. So if the run ended at Lance, that would have been Ditto's time. But the Pidgeot's so bad, dude. If the rival had led with, like, let's say he led with Alakazam, I could just use Psychic and Future Sight with Calm Mind, dude. That champion fight would have been an absolute joke if he led with Alakazam instead. That's the problem, like, they for some reason decided to make the important fights lead with their worst Pokemon imaginable. Oh, here, I'll show you what I meant on Kingler Calc. Yeah, down here is the Ditto I've been doing testing with. So check this out. Pidgeot, Champ, Bulbasaur starter. Alright, I'm gonna zoom in. Alright, see, I'm gonna do Poison Fang as typeless because for some reason, Curse doesn't apply the Brock badge boost. When it's Struggle, it's so weird. But yeah, check this out. This is level 100 Ditto. Struggle does 35.1 to 41.6 with 200 attack EVs with Adamant. But let's assume we went 252. That's as high of an attack stat Ditto can get. 37.2 to 44.3. If we get a crit with this, 75.1 to 88.6. There is no held item that could boost this. Literally, critical hit struggle is impossible. If critical hit struggle had a chance, then I would have transformed into the second Pokemon with the Lepa Berry. Are you winning, son? I beat Lance. Legitimately. I cannot beat the champion. I did show off what my strat was with save states, though. I wasn't blindly doing it. I knew what my strat was. It will just take far, far, far too long to get working. But I'm showing off like some of the things I learned about the champion fight with damage testing. But yeah, it's literally impossible for Ditto to one-shot Pidgeot. It's so unfortunate. Because if it was, He'll probably, like, I think against Ditto, he would probably send out Alakazam, because I know the opponent generally prioritizes super effective moves. Ditto's 99 out of 100. No, this is 100. I was showing off the maximum damage possible at level 100. Like, if I was... Oh, yeah, that's true. Actually, I wouldn't be able to do the level up glitch in that case. Yeah, it's legitimately impossible. But here, I will show off, like, what struggle would be like. Like, if I was using struggle the entire time, I'd have to 3-shot that, 2-shot Alakazam, 5-shot Rhydon, 5-shot Gyarados, 4-shot, 3 to 4-shot. What would happen if you have another Pokemon with you? A chance of force swap out. I can test that for sure, yeah. You know what? Yeah, let's test it. Where did I put my... Oh. Oh. No, I don't think Pidgeot would use Whirlwind. Pidgeot only ever uses Whirlwind whenever I have positive stat boosts. You know what, Shadow? I'm still proud of myself because you know why? Scott couldn't even beat Lorelei. I not only beat Lorelei, but I also beat Bruno, Agatha, and Lance. So this is probably the furthest anyone's ever made it on a legit Ditto run. John, he's not going to use Whirlwind. I know how the AI works. They don't just use Whirlwind randomly. Because here's the problem. If I went Struggle and he used Whirlwind, Lepa Berry activates at the end of the attack, not the end of the turn. That's the reason it wouldn't work, but... It's just, if Crit Struggle was possible to one-shot Pidgeot, and I could transform into something else with the Lepa Berry, the champion fight would have been a whole different story. Do you think with the exact duplicate Ditto with leftovers and a second member you'll be able to win? I don't really care about that. I could win with a team of 6 level 100 Magikarps with leftovers and struggle. I could win with that. But yeah, obviously if you were to use items, like if I only allowed myself one kind of held item, but an infinite supply of them, it would probably be Guard Spec. Berserk Gene from Gen 2. That would be torture. But yeah, I literally spent days on this website testing everything I could imagine. That's the Champion's Pidgeot and Lance's Gyarados, by the way. That's John's Bulbasaur. I really need to figure out how to delete that. Move all Pokemon from the boxes. Actually... Oh, I can just drag him into the garbage. Oh, that's easy. But yeah. I'm proud of myself, though. Yeah, just for now, for the leaderboard. This was Ditto's resets, real time, and game time when I beat Lance. That was as far as I could make it with my strat. And funnily enough, Lance only took me 98 resets. Because I only needed a guaranteed crit on Aerodactyl. The rest of it, the fight was sorta okay. No, you can't trade stuff from Gen 2 to Gen 3. Alright, everybody, I think this is where I'll, Bulbasaur is dead. Yeah, I think this is where I'll leave off. This is definitely very improbable, but I'm sure Smash Math will let me know in the Discord, that exact fight that I showed him, what are the odds of it working? And once I find out, I'll mention it in the next stream. You know that Ditto art is actually from Pokemon Ranger Guardian Signs? It's a really good art piece. I like using it. Thanks for running this. Yeah, I did give Ditto justice. You gotta admit, I gave it justice. I gave it its best possible chance. Scott, he did not give it its best possible chance. Like, no critique to him, but that wasn't its best possible chance to beat the game. What I gave it was its best possible chance. And it made it a lot further than Scott did. It made it all the way to beating Lance. It's just the champion's just too much. Knowing that may be impossible. Yeah? Alright, everyone. Thank you all for stopping by. I do appreciate it. I'm going to make the schedule immediately after I close this stream. I'll have to do today's Trevenant run. I'll have to do that next week. But, I did Ditto justice. Anyway, tomorrow we'll be doing Pokemon Blue or Pokemon Crystal backported with Silvally. That Pokemon's gonna have stab, normal type, multi-attack. That thing is gonna be broken. But anyway, I'll see you all later. Bye. Yeah, he doesn't really EV